Hey friends, this is Derrick Broze with the Conscious Resistance Network, and today we are going to talk about Jeffrey Epstein. We're going to continue our look into this topic, even though honestly I'm pretty bored with it and I'm sick of talking about Jeffrey Epstein. There's a few more pieces to look into. Before we do that though, I want to remind you guys to check out our website, theconsciousresistance.com. Especially if you're new here, we've got a lot of new subscribers. Follow us on Minds, follow us on Steemit, join our Discord channel, sign up for our text list, sign up for our text list, sign up for our text list, subscribe on YouTube. If you want to support my efforts, join our Patreon account, patreon.com/Derrick Broze. And if you want to get a free ounce of kratom and check out some CBD, I recommend checking out My Brave Botanicals to learn more about that. All right, so the latest news before we get into the main focus of this video is that Jeffrey Epstein did appear in court this morning, Thursday, and we found out that his lawyers are arguing for a $77 million bail package in the sex trafficking case. And they're basically saying, let him out, but let him be serve detention in his New York mansion where his brother, Mark Epstein, will watch him, and nobody else will be allowed in and out of the house unless the court approves. So that means he couldn't still keep seeing young girls. And it says a trustee or trustees would be appointed to live in the East Side townhouse with him, and any violations would be reported to pretrial services or the judge. He would also pledge his jet as further collateral, as well as his Manhattan residence and everything else he owns. So they're asking that for him. And we'll find out on Monday when he goes back to court and the judge decides what they're going to do with him. But that's just kind of an update for you on that. Now, the main focus of today is the fact that myself and others have been talking about Jeffrey Epstein's potential intelligence connections. I've focused on the Mossad. And the reason I did this video that I'm about to show you here is because after reporting on Jeffrey Epstein, a number of you kept posting and commenting saying, Jeffrey Epstein's a Mossad agent, Jeffrey Epstein's a Mossad agent. And I decided to look into this. So we did these videos back in February, the evidence for Jeffrey Epstein's Mossad connection, talking about Leslie Wexner and Robert Maxwell, who is the father of Jill Zane Maxwell, who is Epstein's girlfriend / madam recruiting young girls. And then I did another one a couple months ago, new evidence connecting Jeffrey Epstein to Leslie Wexner. Now, the mainstream's finally catching up, and you got this report here from the Daily Beast talking about this. If you look into Jeffrey Epstein's sick story played out for years in plain sight. This is by Vicky Ward. Now, Vicky Ward, the reason I'm even giving her any attention is because she is the one who, y'all may remember, wrote the article for Vanity Fair back in 2002. See right here, she says, I spent many months on the trail in 2002 for Vanity Fair and discovered not only that he was not who he claimed to be professionally, but also that he had allegedly assaulted 2 young sisters, one of whom had been underage at the time. Very bravely, they were prepared to go on record. They were afraid he'd use all of his influence to discredit them, and their fear turned out to be legitimate. As the article was being readied for publication, Epstein made a visit to the office of Vanity's Fair then editor Graydon Carter, and suddenly the women and their allegations were removed from the article. He's sensitive about the young women, Carter told me at the time, and it says Carter has denied these allegations. He also mentioned he finagled a photograph of Epstein in a swimsuit out of the encounter. So basically, Epstein comes to Vanity Fair, speaks to the editor, and says, yo, we can't have that young girl story in there, but I'll give you a picture of me in a bathing suit, and you can use that. There was also a feeble excuse about the article, quote, being stronger as a business story. And she also says that Epstein leaned heavily on her ex-husband's uncle, Conrad Black, to try to exert influence over her. And it goes on and on to talk about that. So the reason that's important, though, is because what she put here, and this has now been making headlines, is that she says that Epstein's name, I was told, had been raised by the Trump transition team when Alexander Acosta, the former U.S. attorney in Miami, the one who cut the sweetheart deal, we all know about that, he was being interviewed for the job for labor secretary. So this is as Trump is transitioning into president, and he is considering Alexander Acosta. And people bring up like, yo, this guy's associated with Epstein. Are you sure you want to do this? And it said, according to the confirmation hearings, is the Epstein case going to cause a problem? Acosta had been asked. Acosta had explained, apparently, that back in the day, he had just one meeting on the Epstein case. Now, I don't know if that's true. The records show that he did meet with Epstein's lawyers. I don't know if it was just one meeting. He'd cut the non-prosecution deal with one of Epstein's attorneys because he'd been told to back off, that Epstein was above his pay grade. I was told Epstein belonged to intelligence and to leave it alone, he told his interviewers in the Trump transition, who evidently thought that answer was sufficient and went ahead and hired Acosta. So he was told that Epstein was above his pay grade, that belonged to intelligence, And then she says, as an example, like, hey, maybe this is true because he's untouchable. When she was writing about him in 2002, he was able to come to the editor of Vanity Fair and get them to change the story. So this goes on, and I really do recommend reading this short little opinion piece from Vicky Ward. And she says, a few years ago, journalist Michael Wolff wrote a profile of him for New York Magazine that was meant to rehabilitate Epstein's image and would tell all of the billionaires who still secretly hung out with Epstein. The piece had fact-checking issues and never ran. So Epstein obviously is exerting influence. And this is one of the questions, as I said, we've been reporting on this, asking, like, well, why is Epstein able to escape all this trouble? Is it because he secretly recorded the sex parties and the interactions with the young girls, which is what some of the women say? So he's got blackmail evidence on all these different people. And that is where the claims of potentially being a Mossad agent or a CIA agent or British intelligence comes into play, because they believe that this is how he is escaping any harm, because he's working for some sort of intelligence agency. And then the other day, Alexander Acosta, the secretary appointed by Trump, who gave Epstein the sweetheart deal, he actually responded to these claims. And here you can see right here. Check out this little clip. Well, let's see if it plays.
Paragraph. One more question.
Richard Lardner from the Associated Press. Mr. Secretary, were you ever made aware at any point in your handling of this case if Mr. Epstein was an intelligence asset of some sort?
So there has been reporting to that effect, and let me say, there's been reporting to a lot of effects in this case, not just now but over the years, and again, I would hesitate to take this reporting as fact. This was a case that was brought by our office. It was brought based on the facts. And I look at that reporting and others. I can't address it directly because of our guidelines. But I can tell you that a lot of reporting is just going down rabbit holes. A few.
So there you go. He doesn't deny the claim. Now we can see here, this is a response to that from the Observer. It sure looks like Jeffrey Epstein was a spy, but whose? And this author is looking into the claim. And here's the exact quote from Acosta. So there's been reporting to that effect. And let me say, there's been reporting to a lot of effects. I would hesitate to take this reporting as fact. So that's not a denial, but he's just saying hesitate. This was a case that was brought by our office and was brought based on facts. And I looked at the reporting and others, and I can't address it directly because of our guidelines. But I can tell you that a lot of reporting is going down rabbit holes. So he says a lot of words, but he doesn't really say anything. But he's not denying it. He's not denying that he admitted in this confirmation hearing that I was just discussing that he had been told Jeffrey Epstein was intelligence. So that's kind of interesting. And then, as I said, it's making the headlines. It's in the Daily Mail and others. Was Jeffrey Epstein a spy? Trump's Labor Secretary Alexander Acosta won't deny he made non-prosecution deal with pedophile because he was told he belonged to intelligence. So he could have easily said, no, that's simply not true. I'm sorry. And then the other thing is, even the New York Times is kind of getting in on this. They're reporting Jeffrey Epstein's fortune may be more illusion than fact. And basically, they're looking at, where does his money come from? This is the big question that everybody's asking, is where is this money actually coming from? And we've done deep dives on this already. Other people have asked about this. But I think that the intelligence connections could explain this. And there's Leslie Wexner, as I said, of the Limited Brands and Victoria's Secret, again, connected to fashion shows, which is what we know how they recruit young girls. So he's also connected to Stephen J. Hoffenberg, who was arrested on a Ponzi scheme and convicted of running a $460 million Ponzi scheme. So this article here is just asking the question, well, where does he really get the money from? There's reports of him being a client of Deutsche Bank and, some of that going on, but apparently those accounts were closed recently. So people are finally getting the picture that Jeffrey Epstein has an unreasonable amount of wealth, even if he doesn't have tangible dollars. He has a multi-million-dollar home, a private island, a ranch, a villa, another mansion down in Palm Beach, and on and on and on. So he does have, material wealth. He has assets, and those assets might be seized by the courts. But we have to ask, where did that really come from? And now to the point that they're saying they're willing to take a $77 million bail package. So at some point, Epstein was able to get funds, whether working with the Mossad or with the British intelligence. Or I even saw an article saying, he's a Russian spy. And that's kind of, I don't know. But looking into Leslie Wexner, looking into Robert Maxwell, you start to see the intelligence connections, and obviously Epstein's connected to them. And it's just interesting, guys, that once again, this is another story that the Conscious Resistance Network, myself, have been reporting and telling you. And I'm not claiming to be the only one that's talked about this for years. Other people have, but I don't think as many people have taken the claims as seriously as I have and have looked into them the way that I have. So if you appreciate the work that I'm doing, I do ask that you support us on patreon.com/Derrick Broze, or look in the description below the video and you'll see a PayPal link if you just want to PayPal me directly. I also take cryptocurrency. I'm not doing this for the money, but I want to keep doing it. I want to fly to New York when Epstein's trial actually begins and report on it for you, even though I am sick of talking about Epstein, because it's important and because I want to make sure the details get out. And these are all the details that are finally making it to the mainstream. The mainstream is talking about he might be an intelligence agent. I didn't think that was going to happen. Sure, they'll arrest him. They'll talk about this. But I didn't think they were going to even mention the fact that he might be an intelligence agent or that they don't know where he got his money from. So this could be bigger than we realize. You know, I know some of you are saying this is a distraction. It's like there are plenty of other things going on, and we're going to report on other things. But it's not a distraction. A horrible, sick man who is molesting young girls is in jail right now. He's being held. He's off the streets. That's a good thing. That doesn't mean I endorse the police state or I want people to rot away in prison, but there might be some things like this, pedophilia and just this sort of sick sexual appetite he has that aren't curable. And maybe the best thing for everybody to be safe is to keep Jeffrey Epstein locked up. Now, hopefully him being locked up does not keep his partners, the silent partners, those co-conspirators that we need to find out about, keep them on the streets, because that's the key element to this. The non-prosecution agreement, the sweetheart deal they signed back in Palm Beach County in the mid-2000s, 2008, it let Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirators get off the hook. We need to know who are those co-conspirators. We need to know everybody who was involved in this, and we need to verify the claims of these young girls. Is Dershowitz involved in this? Is Clinton really involved in this? Is Trump really involved in this? Is Prince Andrew really involved in this? Is Kevin Spacey, Chris Tucker, Stephen Hawking, Courtney Love, Henry Kissinger, all the different names that are in the black books and that are in the flight logs and things of that sort. We need to get to the bottom of that. So Jeffrey Epstein is just the beginning. All right, guys, that's it for today. I got other work to do. I hope you enjoy this. Please share all of our videos, share our content. And if you're new to our channel, go back and look through our channel. We have 8 years worth of content from myself and from other people. We've got all kinds of material, asking questions, investigations, spirituality, UFOs, documentaries, all kinds of different things. Articles on the website. Just get into it. Check out our website, mine it, educate yourself. And until next time, remember, you are powerful, you are beautiful, and you are free. Peace.